All right, part 3 on shaft removal and stuff. We've seen it back here. And you've already seen us pull the heads. We've done some reaming of the heads. You talked about my technical difficulties, and we did it over. Now we are at the last bit of finishing these clubs. I've got all of them, rest of them taken care of. However, this one, we're going to show you what we do. They've all dried. We've tested the glue. It's all good. If I sound like I'm talking loud, it's because I got my earplugs in already. All right, so what do? Well, we prep it for ferrule prepping. And what I like to do is I like to put a little piece of tape in here, roll it around, and that's the end of it right there. Why do I do that? Well, because there are two different ways, well, actually several different ways, of finishing a ferrule. Now, I use a 1x42 machine, and I use a felt belt. The felt belt is the most gentle, and it removes a truckload of material. All right, the most common is called a linen cloth. Actually, it's exactly what it looks like. It's a piece of linen in a cloth, and it's 1x42. However, if you get it to where it starts coiling or curving on your idler pulley, it can start grooving into the sides of the graphite and the paint. Now, in steel shafts, not so much as important, but I just do it as a habit. But now what we do is I put them on all this, particularly in graphite. If you catch a nugget, if that belt catches a nugget of some variety, I just don't want it to air carry forward and hurt the shaft. So that's the reason why I put this on here. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to send you over to the bench. We're going to finish, and then we're not going to cut because we don't have confirmation on putting on what length the golfer wants. So we're waiting on that confirmation. So this time it's just going to be ferrule finishing, which actually to me is very, very important. I've been called a ferrule Nazi for years, but it pays off. Why? The ferrule, in the beginning, the ferrule was something that was part of the club for its integrity. It came in there and it protected the wooden shaft or the steel shaft that was not very strong. And that's the reason why you had whipping, right? You had that whipping was the original ferrule. Then what they did is they took these plastic pieces and they would put them over top of the wooden hosel to help them not shatter as much. Well, then here comes the era of steel shafts. They're going into the hosels, and now this has become more of a decorative piece. Now, there are some that have shoulders in them, and the shoulders act as a way to kind of bridge the span where a lot of people might call a shear point to make that not happen. Well, now in the last couple of years, the ferrules become important as a centering ferrule. And you see where they have, the normal shoulder is only maybe 1/8 of an inch thick, maybe less. And now you're seeing them 1/4 inch long or even longer, i.e. Pings and PXGs, and sometimes Callaway, where they become centering ferrules. And you can tell they're centering ferrules because they have a little plastic gizmo at the bottom that holds into the shaft so that everything stays centered. Well, that's important, right? That's very important. So now you need it again. So you have to know what the products are that you're working with in order to ensure that you're putting the right one back on. Okay, so we've done that. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you that I'm going to go through a few of these. The idea here is that the ferrule will be even with the hosel. Right now you feel it and there's a ridge. We want to get rid of the ridge. And that is literally the test for most club makers. What you do is they go in here and they go, oh, okay. And it's a test to see the quality of your craftsmanship. All right, so now we did it with the linen belt. We did it with the felt belt. You could also do it at home in a vise, right? Much like this. You could put it in a vise. You could hold it like this, and you could use very high grit sandpaper, say 200. And what you would do is you would tape this side and you tape this side, and you would take the sandpaper and you would do the shoe shine method like that. You would take it around and then you would do it until it was all gone. The reason why you would use the sandpaper, I'm sorry, the tape, is because it's a protectant, and also it's called a fault finder, meaning that When you go like this and you start hitting the tape, you know that you're getting really, really close to the ferrule, and you don't want to start sanding on the ferrule, so you know you're really, really close. Is it the best way to go? No, but if that's all you got, hey, that's all you got. You can always press it down with a little bit of acetone. All right, so the second step is acetone. We're going to use the 2x2 paper towels. You never thought a paper towel would be so important. It wipes off glue, it carries acetone, it does a lot of things. And that's going to take the marks out that we might put in with the felt belt. And then last but not least, we're going to use glands wax. So we're going to go through all those steps here in about 3 clubs, and then we'll call it a day. All right, so let's go to the bench. Okay, so we're going to use this is a tool rest, for lack of a better term. We're going to take it and we're going to turn into it as it's spinning, and every once in a while we're going to check just to make sure we've made it. Now, before I get started, let me say at this point, please like and subscribe. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that other button in order for you to get more of this information when it drops. Also, we have a live stream, and it is on Mondays at 5:30 Eastern or 17:30 for you guys across the pond. Last but not least, I have another channel called Pars and Pours. It's a golf-centric whiskey channel. So if you like both, come and join me over there. All right, I'm going to make some noise. We're going to turn on the vacuum. So here we go. Okay, you see, now another giveaway is that the felt belt, the good thing about the felt belt is it'll make a little ring, but it won't damage the finish. That's one of the reasons why we like it. Once you get done, it's time for the tape to come off. You don't have to go too fast, and you don't want to go too slow. Once you find your rhythm, it's all good. And you can tell by the way that it's removing the material. Sometimes it gets a little grainy. It means you're probably going a little too fast. If it's removing a lot of material on one side, it means you're going too slow. Now, the best way to do it is be consistent. There we go. You be consistent, it gets it all the way around every time. And then it looks very clean too. That's the other part. It makes it easier to clean up. And you can see by the way it changes color. There's that little ridge right there. There we go. That's better. Okay. So we get through that one, and now we have it shaped to the way we want it. I'm going to finish the rest, and then we'll go to the acetone. Okay, and we've got them shaped now. I'm going to turn you a little bit. There we go. We've got them shaped. Now we're going to make them shiny, and then we're going to finish them. So let's get started with some of that. Okay, so the 2x2 paper towels. Put some acetone on them. Get them nice and wet. The more the better. And what you do is you go in the opposite direction that you did when you were shaping them, and it takes all that grain, all that stuff out of it, plus all the marks that you made for your shaft alignment, and that gets them so we're now cleaning it up. So it's a twofer. Now you could stop right here because they are plenty shiny. However, I like to give them an extra layer of protection with the glands wax, which is what we're going to be using here shortly. And as you can see, we can get about 6, about 3 on each side before I need something new, because we are taking off a lot of material. So the next piece. Okay. So the last 4, and you don't have to press real hard. It's just a light touch, and all you're doing is making it shine, removing some of the Sharpie on the shaft, making sure that that smudge that you put on the hosel with the felt belt is removed, and you are good to go. I want to go back down here and make sure I got it. Sure did. Okay, and then that's done. Now, mistakes have been made by trying to jump into the glands watch a little bit too fast. Once you use acetone, it softens up the ferrule and the plastic, so you got to give it time to reset. We do 10, that's fine. By the time I get done with number 10, number 1's ready to go. So we're going to set up the machine, and then we are going to make sure we polish them well. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, it's grayish, which means we don't have a lot of polish on it. We're going to put some polish on it, and again, this is the H0813 fine polishing compound from, it's a Mazerna, and it's from Grizzly. Now, normally what I like to do is, I like to do this the day before I'm going to do this, but in the idea of trying to get this out the door tomorrow, we have to get it done now. And as you can see, it's found its way on there. Now, it's going to turn back to black here in just a little bit, but the idea that we have it on there means it's polishing this. And all we have to do is give it a quick turn. We're not here to redo anything. Again, it's just like polishing or waxing your car. You're not going to give it a whole lot of pressure, and you're not going to spend a lot of time on it. Now, what you can do here is sometimes the acetone will leave a bit of a stain, and it'll help you. You can just take it off with that, and then just go right into the ferrule. If you don't catch that, then what you can do is you can catch it when you're cleaning the shafts. And as you can see, just a couple of turns to polish it. This is a 8-inch wheel, half an inch wide, or is it inch wide, sorry, inch wide. All this stuff is available at GolfWorks. These are obviously older models, but they have the same thing. Other places to get this would be two other companies. Number one would be Golf Mechanics, which I think works hand in hand with GolfWorks, and a lot of major OEMs. And the only other one I know of out there would be Mitchell. They have some machines, but I don't know if they have them all. And then you can go to some other houses, some other parts houses like Golf Tour, maybe in the UK. They have some, and they'll get their machines mostly from Golf Mechanics, but it may very well be easier for you to get it from over there. Alrighty, so once they're all polished here, then what we want to do is we want to wipe it just again in the opposite direction that we had it before. And I'll put my thumb under the towel right here so I can get all the extra that was gotten. And there you go, you have a nice shiny ferrule. We'll do one or two more. Okay, you see the extra that was on there? And we're doing is just like leaving on the car wax, and it got, to that dusty film color, and you wipe it off and it looks just like that, a real nice shiny piece of ferrule. One more. Okay, just back and forth, get all the way around, and I put my thumb underneath, and that basically what I'm doing is I'm cleaning the top of the ferrule, and then I go after the shaft, and that's about it. I'm going to do the other 10, then we'll come back and we'll talk about what we just did. All right, so that was doing a ferrule, right? And in this particular instance, we took a look at them while we were polishing them. There's no flaws in them, there's no big gouges, and there's none of that stuff. And now they're shiny and they look really cool as part of a new club. Now, there was a time where what they do is called coning, and what you would do at the bottom of the ferrule when they were two that just met like this, you would take a grinder that had a 45-degree cone and you would run it up in there and it would create this chamfer area. Now in some cases, some manufacturers did that, some didn't. Okay, now we did that to prevent a shear point. We allowed the epoxy to get up into there to fill that void, and it was a little bit stronger than the ferrule. you could still do that. Although the way that golf shafts are made today, I'm not seeing the necessity of that so much, because the golf shafts, their quality of being built has gone up logarithmically. Okay, logarithmically. All right, so that's what we've got done for this one. We talked about shoulders, we talked about centering ferrules, we talked about the steps. Now what we want to do is we want to shape the ferrule to match the outside diameter of the hosel. You can either do it with the shoe shine method, you could use it with a linen belt, you could use it with a felt belt. 1x42 is a preference because it moves slower. They do make 1x36s or 2x36, and they go really, really fast, so you have to have a very, very light touch. Just think about that. The major manufacturers for these are Golfworks, Golf Mechanics, your Mitchell, probably you'll see some in Billy Bob's, and any other place that does a lot where they sell golf supplies such as grips, shafts, gripping supplies, gluing supplies. You'll probably find somebody that does it. 99 times out of 100 it's probably coming from Golf Mechanics. Alrighty, so then when we get done with the shaping, then we want to make it shiny, and we want to take any of those imperfections out. We do that with acetone on a 2x2 piece of paper towel, which one that you like, and use the acetone and very lightly go in the 90-degree version of what you did when you were shaping it. Once that's dry, then you put the wax on it, then the glanze wax, and what that does is that provides a harder outside for you in order to make that work. Next is that when we go to finish these, I'm going to put another coat of wax on them. Now you know why I get called the ferrule Nazi. And then that way you have a very finished, very protected product, so all that slamming in the bag at least is protected for a little while, okay? I'm not going to go into the gripping because we have to figure out what the length of the golf club is first before we do that. And until then, I can't put on a grip. So we're waiting on this guy to get off his fishing trip in order to do that so we can send him to him. So, but this is enough to get you started into the next set, because ferrules are the craftsman's signal of how good that you are. Also how to protect a golf club, because it's becoming a thing now, and in order to help you along. So hopefully you liked everything that you saw. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. There it is, that notification bell at the bottom. And join us on our live streams, and see me on my other channel at Pars and Pours. And again, guys and gals, let's see your scores go low.